And welcome back to the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Esports Doug and Simo, who just cast it. Man, I don't even know. Check this out. I don't even want to break down beginning game, mid game, late game. I just want to talk about OT. First and foremost, Skadoodle. You know, chat's called him Skadaddy, and honestly for good reasons, man. Yeah, OT was just all him. Simo, Jesus, what just happened?
Listen, you're asking the wrong person. I have no words. Skadoodle just all of a sudden pulls out this phenomenal overtime round. We also have to talk about that prior round that Shanks wasn't able to take care of Skadoodle for some reason. That's right. Definitely a big question mark, but that final round, holy smokes.
I mean, even Spider right there in that replay. Like, I mean, picking up that play, getting it with .003. Like, there was just so many influential moments, right? Because look, T1 doesn't pick up that map or that round. Do they win, right? Does Immortals win? And there was just so many factors. Doug, I think it's very fair to say, obviously, it was said that, you know, going into it, that, you know, Immortals, they were probably going to be the disadvantaged T1, just a great Ascent team. But without question, though, Immortals was in it till the very end. And, you know, unfortunately, Shot had to exit. But Shanks came in, but he filled in the role quite well.
Yeah, that boy did just fine. If I'm not mistaken, he led, although that was not good. That was terrible timing on the replay. And then, hang on, I gotta watch this again.
A moment of silence, please. And you see the way he dropped too? Like, he did not enjoy that shot.
Just it's just unreal, right? Like, anyway, so here's the thing. For Immortals, yeah, they lost. But it was in overtime fashion, and there were heroics that were demanded from T1 to even get to that point, right? Like, in no moment, given the advantage that we gave to T1 going into this map, it never felt like what we were watching was an accurate representation of the statistical history between these two squads, and specifically T1 on this map. So for Immortals to play that as closely as they did without their full roster, for it to require Skadoodle to do rated R things that are no longer like safe for child's eyes in order to get to this point was just nuts. And here's the thing, it wasn't just Skadoodle that had to go nuts there, right? We saw Spider a couple of times, we saw Brax pop off. It was an entire team effort from T1, and kudos to them in the face of adversity to be able to pull that off is just another testament to how impressive this T1 squad really is.
I mean, you mentioned Brax. Let's go back to round 22. You know, he eventually opens up, gets the two-piece with the Frenzy, right? I mean, that just shouldn't have happened. He eventually drops, but he opened up the door for AZK then to come and pick up the last member from Immortals, right? That was a big round. Every round is big when you're talking about going into OT, right? And I just cannot wait for game number 3. As the map does load in, though, you just saw the performance from Immortals. And look, we already picked our predictions, but going into this final map on Bind, I mean, are you guys swaying either way now, or are you still staying strong with T1?
I mean, I have to say that that was still not as a convincing of a win I think T1 would have liked, but their victories on Bind include Sentinels, it includes Dignitas, it includes Equinox. They've beaten a lot of good teams on Bind, so I think Immortals, this may be the toughest match that they have to worry about. Shanks, of course, has fit in like we've already highlighted, but this is going to be the toughest battle coming up next.
Yeah, I agree with Simo here. I think while it would be one hell of a story, right? Like the late addition, the overtime, and to win in map 3, what have you, I think I've got to stick with my predictions. I think T1, this map's a bit different too, right? Like Ascent frees up players to just go bonkers and frag out and do things like what Shanks was able to do on the Reyna, but I don't know that there's as much room for that on Bind.
All right, well, check it out, guys. I got to dip out, but I'm going to say T1 might be able to take this if Immortals wins. I'm not even going to be mad, even though Bach and Vansili picked them. So, hey, Doug, Timo, take it away.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah, I just, you know, as long as Bach and Vansili aren't right, and we are, that's the dub in this situation. But, Simo, talk to me a bit about Bind. Do you think that Shanks is going to be able to replicate his success here?
I mean, for sure. I mean, if he came into that Ascent map and he was fired up, ready to go. I expect a similar performance. The big question for me is actually Spider on the Raze. We saw it yesterday against Dignitas. Seeing it again here today, how has that impacted the lineup for T1 with now a player swapping off to the Omen? I think that's AZK now on the Omen. How does that work out in terms of the team dynamic for T1?
Well, it worked out yesterday. Again, the first time that we saw Spider on a duelist, it's certainly panned out just fine for them, but it could be a very different story here up against Immortals. T1 on the attacking side, you already saw priority focus placed around playing for the ultimate orbs. They were able to get in, create some room, get some intel, and get the orb into the hands of the Sova, into the hands of Daze. So we'll keep a close eye on that. But other than that, so far, it's been a pretty slow start here from T1.
T1 much better on the attack, so expect this to be an explosive half for them, and already seeing that explosion start to come through on the B site. Tailwind forward, passive play from Immortals. They're smoked off, so the spike is likely going to go down, and let's watch how Immortals retake the site.
Yeah, it's interesting to use the dart when there's nobody there, and Skadoodle knows that. They're all going to have to be funneling in, from the same side. Shanks, the one exception, as he's creeped his way all the way around elbow. Sandy's able to get one. Spider trades it out, and oh my gosh, the shock dart in that corner like that is just devastating. Shanks somehow made it all the way through, enough to get a kill, but it got traded out by Skadoodle. A straight up 2v2 here. Things have not gone as well as you would have guessed.
Oh, they're defusing, and now Skadoodle has to force the issue. The defusal is still coming through. He can't get it in time, gangsta. Or should I say ninja? How many ninja diffuses is he gonna get? Well, I mean, it's not technically a ninja diffuse, but he's still diffusing in the heat of the moment, and he finds them. There was almost 3. There was that B-side hit that eventually T1 still managed to take him down or whatever, but holy smokes. This is just craziness. And Immortals, they sneak away the pistol. T1 gonna sit this one out and take us back home for round 3.
And again, they were all pushing in from the same side, Simo. That's so difficult. They had 4 stacked right outside of that defender side. It's just a great start there from Immortals early on here in the second round. Again, a little bit of presence from Daze. They're on showers. They're going to spot one, see if he can get a kill traded. So far, it doesn't look to be the case. That shock dart certainly wasn't what he was looking for. Neptune goes in, goes aggressive, and takes care of Dazed.
For T1, I think the goal here would be just to get that spike down. On rounds like this, you need you want to retrieve every single credit that you can get. I think we kind of missed something super important, and that is Brax. Is he in lamps? Is that where Brax is? How in tarnation did he get there? Did Daze make so much noise that it allowed Brax to get into the lamps area? That is a very interesting position, and I think T1 might be able to actually exploit it if Brax finds success. So far, he doesn't quite see anybody. He can play point towards the vents, but they know that there's Shower's presence because Dazed fell there, right? So JC Standing gonna lurk back. Brax gonna find him, take him down, and T1 are already here, but Brax finds Neptune. This is a little bit of a tough spot for Immortals.
It is, but Immortals is going to have a presence. They're going to be able to bring in reinforcements, and they're going to overwhelm them. Brax gets taken out. Skadoodle falls as well. Shanks takes care of business at the end with the Spectre. Yeah, the spike went down, but it's going to be diffused at the hands of Immortals. It was cheeky from Brax, like you said. What in tarnation, indeed. But there just wasn't once presence from Immortal showed up in heaven and through pipes. There just wasn't a ton that he could do there as he was overwhelmed from a couple of different areas on the map. And while it was spicy, Immortals eventually were just able to run over them.
If we see more like that from Brax, this is going to be a very scary round for Immortals, because there's obviously a world where you can't leave every nook and cranny unchecked. And Brax is known for being a position of power when it comes to the lurk for T1. So it makes sense that he finds himself in that position, especially on the attack. We are seeing a little bit of a tactical pause. I don't know who it's for, whether it's for T1 or for Immortals. But
here,
it does look like Immortals are the ones we're getting confirmation from the production team that it is Immortals, in fact, tactically pausing. And I imagine what they're looking for in this tac pause, what they're thinking about is, can we start this half 3-0? Can we destroy this gun round? If so, how do we do it? right? To use your tac pause so early, why would you do it? To try to get the leg up as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, you presume they've got something a little spicy going on. You see the Jet and the Reyna both posted up in hookah. JMO is still around the corner. The Roomba's going to clear the way. Oh, but that actually doesn't make it all the way, and they're not going to get any information from that.
Yeah, this is a scary, scary position. JMO just making noise, faking getting out of that angle, and it's all down to Shanks. If he dies here, this whole tac pause was for nothing. And just like that, he's gone. The paranoia as well. Brax with another. JC standing will at least refrag. So will Neptune as he portals in from the opposite side. Now it's down to the 3v3. AZK trying to run away. They'll at least trade things out for JC Stanny. And Skadoodles made his way onto the site. Neptune will fall. What am I watching? What is this game that I'm watching? This is crazy.
After the chaos, after the dust settles, here's where we are. A 2v1 in favor of T1. The spike made its way through the teleporter and it's headed over to A. Gangsta is in pursuit. He's got a Vandal and he's still very healthy. Simo, he also has the recon dart and a couple shock darts to work with. And you can't say the same about the members of T1 as they both have lost some health here. Gangsta, see how he chooses to play this. I like that shock dart. He knows exactly at least where the spike has been planted, and he had a good idea of where AZK was. There's that dart too. He's gonna get some info there. But he tallied away. Gangsta not going in aggressively through main site. He's gonna catch him from behind. He's got Daze with a sucker punch. He's dropped things down, excuse me, to a 1v1, but no, he doesn't check the 50 as he gets onto the site. He gets taken out. AZK wins the 1v1. T1 are on the board.
Well, Immortals definitely made that expensive, and there's so much going on and so much to unpack in how they played the hookah side there. Shanks with the off angle, or like the 50. JMO was trying so hard to fake that he was the only person there, right? And then the portal in from Neptune, man, it was just crazy. But now, both teams, a little bit of a force up on both sides, a little bit of missing armor on some of the members. This is the round where the pendulum swings. Early look for JMO, finds the shot. Shower's presence from Immortals has been a nuisance for T1. And you'll find that successful shot taking down Daze, who had an ultimate as well. They only have the Blade Storm now for Skadoodle, who's going to push in on the B site with it.
This time T1 are able to get in through hookah. Nothing cheeky happening there, with the exception, of course, of the Hunter series. Skadoodle's pushed away. Meanwhile, Spider is still in there, but he gets taken out. He had to go in aggressively, but Skadoodle gets one. He's going to push his way in. Not able to get the second, but AZK was. He gets taken out by the shock dart at the hands of Gangsta. Mortals still have the numbers advantage here, as it's just down to AZK. He gets one, but gets dropped. Eventually, Immortals take a 2-round lead.
Yeah, man, that portal play, man. Immortals seem to love using that portal, at least the connector, to lead into B short, because ultimately that is where JC Stanny ended up. Or did he flank? I was paying more attention to Skadoodle there and the action that he was ensuing on the B site, but nevertheless, they managed to pinch them in hookah. They never left that area of the map. They weren't able to get onto the site. Skadoodle was still with the heroics, was able to find a couple. But now it's the eco for T1. Immortals likely going to lead by 4-1 unless they can stop these aggressive peaks here from JMO. Operator shot's not going to connect. He backs away, and the shower presence from Immortals also backs away from a potential heavy push from T1.
It was not a shoulder peek. That was a whole body jump peek. Skadoodle dashes in. He gets taken out as the kill feed lights up with folks from both sides. You see the showstopper at the hands of Spider, able to make that bad boy sing. T1 with the numbers advantage here. The spike has not been planted yet. It's just hovering around right outside of a short, and I don't know that there's anything T1 can do to get to it right now, but what they do have is presence. What they do have is knowledge of where Gangsta is with 28 health too. All AZK able to take care of him. A thrifty round win, a 3K for him there. That was a big round for T1.
Yeah, and Spider has the showstopper there. They managed to push Immortals back to back site, and that's where a lot of the players then. There was a lot to unpack there. It just seems like these two teams are going for each other's neck. But But good for T1 to stop any return pushes to come in onto that A site, right? They had AZK playing down below Heaven to watch defense. Somehow, some way, Dazed with the frenzy finds the shot up into Heaven, so that now puts them in an economic advantage. Early look, aggression towards the long side. I like it because the hookah push hasn't really worked out in the favor of T1 so often.
Yep.
Spider will find the pick entering onto the site as he hops to hookah. There's one more player behind the site. It's Gangsta. Spider will take him down as well. T1 finally finding success on this B site hit, and it's looking like we might tie us up 3-3.
Yeah, and they were just so much more decisive in the way they played that out. Furthermore, Immortals were kind of on the back foot the entire time, so they had to give up a lot of room. They had invested the majority of the resources over by A as well, which again gives T1 a bit more room to work with on B. But it looks like they might still try to make something happen here. Immortals does have 3 players left. They also all have ultimates, but of course, as I say that, Dazed and ACK wipe things up. A flawless round for T1 as we're tied up at 3 apiece. This last map, so far, just like the rest of the series, has delivered.
I think you and I are both at the edge of our seat for the caster predictions, you know?
I'm actually standing.
Yeah, well, at the edge of our socks, heels, whatever. I don't even know. But let's look at this round. Let's look at the setup. Immortals definitely bugged out by that long side push on their eco. So this time we're going to see a little bit more control towards that long side. 3 members strong there. Shanks, JMO, alongside Gangsta. Still the same showers presence. Only 1 player there. He does get spotted out, or at least information is gathered that there's 1 player towards the showers, which T1 know. They know that there's constant showers pressure, but they don't expect 2 players in on the strange angle towards the long side. So we'll see how T1 react. They're pretty stuck in their ways about this hookah control, and they're going to get it.
Spider managed to work his way. Oh, I don't think he's... Oh, okay. If he didn't before, yeah. All right. He's given his position, Spider's position, to the rest of the team. They know where he is now. He had to back up. Meanwhile, Immortals, again, for as aggressive as they can be, they haven't been, right? Like, they just had 2 players up on B long for a while. Don't go aggressively there. They know that has been a player from T1 outside of showers the majority of the time. Still not going aggressive here. You see a couple smokes coming out from T1 to lead them into thinking that that's where the hit's going. But T1's actually set their sights towards A.
They missed each other in A short. Dazed is starting to run away, and Neptune's going to get caught up there by the tripwire. This execute on B has to be flawless. Spider with one player down below. Spider will be taken down by him. JMO down the long side. IMT will hold the B site. Dazed, last player standing. 1v2. Not a lot of time left, but has the time to plant the spike at least.
10 seconds left.
10 seconds remaining. Dazed in a tough spot. May try to plant inside the tuna can. Spike starting to go down. JMO may look. That's the tailwind in. The shots are good with the knives. And Dazed will be taken down. That was such a tense round from both sides.
And I love how JMO played that too. Knowing the time was on his side, he can just wait, right? He knows he has the Blade Storm. He knows he can play the back foot and force T1 to act first. And then he can respond, and he's going to be able to do so from a position of strength. So waits until he hears the spike beginning to go down. Then he goes in aggressively. For T1, they were in a very precarious spot. They didn't have much of a choice on how they play that out. Fortunately for Immortals, they're able to net that round win. But Simo, take a look at how differently they're playing the defenses this side. They have 4 over on A.
They still have that same showers presence, and that's exactly where a battle is about to ensue. Dazed gonna find one. For the first time, it does not work out in Immortals' favor. Usually it does. They're able to hold it down. JC Stanny alongside Neptune. So now this B site, which T1, to be honest, have pretty much ended up, for the most part, on most of these attack rounds. But the fact that there's not a lot of presence there from Immortals is the first time that I think T1 will find benefit from going over towards that side. But most of the members are still waiting for any aggression from Immortals in the A short side, which JMO is up on the truck with the op. His first pick is going to be crucial as he's trying to avoid Hedwig.
Yeah, it looks like they might be able to apply pressure, excuse me, from a couple of different points. Meanwhile, Spider's on the opposite side of the map, just being a nuisance and causing a distraction. JMO has been spotted out. Brax and AZK light up the kill feed as members of Immortals drop all over the place. The last one's elsewhere on the map. It's Gangsta. Last one standing, and Spider's going to take care of him. The blast back to boost him up and drop him down. Gangsta gets taken out. A flawless round for T1.
T1 were spread so thin across the map, but they still worked out super well with it. Unfortunately, it's the recon bolt that I think really threw a wrench into the plan for Immortals, because JMO had a beautiful angle, but the recon bolt, he had to double back. So Shanks was going into the site blind. Not literally blind, he just didn't know who was there. They knew that AZK went towards that heaven side, but instead Shanks goes through the vent. He gets taken down, JMO repositioning. Unfortunately does not find the pick onto Dazed. Just overall, and then Spider, of course, was also playing contact towards the hookah side. So just overall great presence across the map. But look at this play from Immortals. Early aggression, trying to flush out the shower side, and it's going to cause JC Stanny to push up aggressively to gather information.
Man, darts all over the place. Leers as well. Brax is in serious trouble over on A. He's being surrounded. He manages to get one, as Daze does on the opposite side of the map as well. Both two members, excuse me, of Immortals have already dropped. Brax with the 3K. I mentioned he was in serious, but he's able to hold fast and get a 3K. A flawless round. T1 continue to impress here. That's 2 rounds in a row, 4 of the last 5. 5 of the last 7. They're looking good here.
Yeah, that was a very crazy curveball from Immortals. They were down on eco. They pushed 2 into the portal side. T1 knew exactly where they were. They only heard 1 jump in, so they knew that they saw 2 and only 1 jumped in. And it was the Owl drone, which gave JC Stanny space. But Brax really just stopped that fancy footwork from Immortals. So now we're going to see back to that same default. 2 members towards the shower side, a little bit more presence. T1 have learned their lesson from the early hookah control from Immortals, but I think Spider has found a little bit more success gaining that control, so I don't think they're quite conditioned to say hookah is off limits or hookah is a scary place to be, right? But Immortals, very passive this time, not playing too aggressively, trying to wait for T1 to come to them instead.
Seems to be the preferred way that they like to play the defensive side. T1 again, causing some ruckus around showers. And it's going to force members of Immortals back. Shanks has to play on the opposite side of the wall. Neptune's there for a bit of a crossfire. But they just aren't playing it aggressively, because I don't know that they have much of a choice or really desire to. You see that paranoia go through U-Haul. Daze is going to try to back up as Gangsta's going to use the Hunter's Fury. It's going to be traded in kind. Spider has already dropped. And through all of this, folks, the spike isn't even in somebody's hands. They're just fighting for control of the sites here.
I have the spike.
Well, it's Goodoodle finding that opening pick on towards the B site. Smokes go down. We'll see if that dissuades Immortals from peeking in. There's a cyber cage that is stopping them from the hookah side, and they get smoked off as well. So Neptune on the site, he does get tagged by the recon bolt. 18 seconds remaining. They got to get that spike down. Gangsta holding the line. Brax will refrag. JC Stanny down to 12 seconds remaining. Brax and Daze down on 1 final player. It's Gangsta who's behind the tuna can. Sees Brax, takes him down. Now it's all up to AZK and Dazed. But he pops out. Shock Dart doesn't find AZK, but Dazed with the angle from hookah takes down Gangsta. I like how Immortals did not let T1 really get too comfortable there in the post plan, but still the challenges and the gunfights go to the favor of T1.
I might have lost my mind had Gangsta done that. Another reason why I'm losing my mind going into this round, they're bringing in the double op, and yeah, they have the money to do it, so I guess you might as well. But that going into nothing but pistols and a stinger on the side of Immortals certainly doesn't feel good. Oh my gosh, there it is. Brax is able to get one. He had a chance at 3, gets a second. He knows that there was one more person. He doesn't know if they back up or not, but you see Shanks. Oh my gosh, Brax gets a 3rd, making that operator investment worthwhile.
Well, that's all she wrote. There's not much analysis there other than Brax is good at game. That's all I can say. He drops the op down, swaps to the Phantom. They got exactly what they needed from that round, and now Immortals could be staring down an 8-4 finish. We'll see what the setup looks like. Having a replay here as well. We also have to identify that IMT really not having the best weaponry. They're trying to stack the pistols here to try to do some damage, but Brax really just unfazed, gets taken down to 40. Look at the setup here from Immortals. Let's see how they answered the T1's last round.
See some smokes early on coming out of the Omen, given all that presence that DaZe has been able to put around showers. You see them adapting to that, but there's nobody over there. Much like I think it was 2 rounds ago, everything is being invested over towards B. Here the Showstopper has been used, and that's just going to create space. Spider's able to work his way in. Skadoodle gets one, and Brax gets him as well. Spider with the flank right behind him, able to take care of JC Staney and JMO. They were clueless as they walked into their slaughter. Another flawless round for T1. You mentioned that they were staring down an 8-4. Simo, that's exactly what happened.
Sides.
You know, I know that when Riot had developed the agents, they had said, oh yeah, okay, let's make duelists, and then let's make, you know, Breach and Sova, let's make them initiators, right? What they're gonna do is they're gonna initiate the fight. Well, do you think T1 used a single initiator to start that one off? They sent Skadoodle tailwinding in, and they sent Spider blast packing in, and then he gets into Cubby, and Immortals are like, well, they're probably playing passive towards that long side, planting and then doubling back. No. They were holding right on the site. And now T1, they lead by 4. They win the pistol. They could be leading by 6. So we'll see how this first round unfolds.
Immortals here on the attacking side, showing a little bit early on towards showers. I like the use of the Roomba here to create some info and get some. It looked like it popped up, may have not dealt any damage, but certainly is going to push them back. Immortals looking for something there early on, but the Spider was just able to keep him at bay.
You also have to identify that now, based on all that chaos, or that form of chaos, T1 have stacked all their members towards this A site. A very risky investment, as we now see JC Stanley gaining a lot of ground, but he backs off. He pulls back. And so now this is likely going to be the late round execute or the mid round execute on the A side, but a heavier stack towards the shower side. Spider's waiting. He's there. And we'll see how they handle it as they now start to push in.
Really good paranoia from AZK to slow things down for just a tad and allow members of T1 to pull them apart. Shanks is the last one there. He had nothing but 21 health to work with, and he's gonna get dropped. T1 win the pistol, and they continue to balloon this lead. Simo, this is getting out of control for Immortals very quickly.
Yeah, it's a scary sight. I don't think they need to worry about forcing up here, because if they put themselves in a position at 10-4, they still have a couple of rounds to work with. They just need to win that 3rd round, which statistically the conversion does end up going into that direction. Skadoodle, you see he's got the Ghost in the light armor, hoping to get that Operator into that 3rd round. And so and we've seen this before from T1, especially on Ascent, they'll force up on that 3rd round if they can, depending on the outcome of the 2nd round. And they lost the Operator in that respect. So Immortals, a split down the long side and a split towards Hookah. The Hookah push is moving faster than the long push, but these paint shells are about to really cause a problem. They're going to take them down a little low. Shockdar's coming through as well. That's going to be a swing here from Spider. That's 2, and now they're on the side from the opposite side. Spider! Oh my goodness! Are you kidding me? He mows them down. He stops the push. He's just going to hold them all back. And T1, they lead by 6.
Oh, Spider. Oh, Spider. Let's look at that one more time. I love the use of the paint cans there. Gets enough info to know, okay, that's where they are. Paint cans deal a good bit of damage, and then he can swing, right? They're weakened off. They have no choice. And then he just drops down with the Spectre. This is why we wanted to see Spider on a duelist, because of plays just like that.
Like listen, maybe I've gotten a little bit too hyped there, but I anticipated somebody taking him down, right? I didn't anticipate him just absolutely destroying the entire team. While the setup was great for them, I expected the push from the long side to eventually take him down, right? He was down to like 40 HP. You take him down with a burst classic and he's out of commission. So Immortals, an important round for them to win. They don't want the same antics from Spider, who's sending a Roomba in towards the B short side. He knows somebody's there, and that is why you're seeing DaZe now pull back, because there's presence towards the B short side, while the rest of the team playing passive on the A side, which is eventually where they're going to end up.
Listen, eco or not, that was still a lot of fun to watch. So stick with that. You see the push coming in from Immortals through a short. A couple smokes came out, and JMO dashes his way in. He's going to be the tip of the spear as he has the spike, but he thinks twice about planning it. Actually swings. He's able to get the kill onto Daze. 3 members of T1 already dropped. There are some resources. There is a showstopper as well, so it's certainly not, well, that's certainly less possible than it was just a moment ago.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate there for T1. Tough spot to be in, but Immortals, they needed that round, and they make it almost flawless. And for them, that's important moving into this one. T1, I think Skadoodle's going to be the only one that can't buy, and I mean, investing that operator is likely going to be the penalty of that. He is not close to a Blade Storm either. Needs 4 kills or points to collect that, and it's possible he gets that this round, but the odds of that are highly unlikely. So Immortals holding on. 5 to catch up. T1 just need 3 to close this one out.
See the drone from Gangsta trying to get some info around A. They know that grabbing the orb is safe there, given some of the utility that was already invested to try to clear the way. And they are going to back up. It looks like the play was around B the entire time. As you see, members of T1 have posted up around this spot as well. Both Skadoodle and Spider sitting in hookah. There's no presence in garden, nothing back in defender spawn, nothing in elbow. That's really the only spot that they have. And potentially, unfortunately, for T1, it looks like Immortals wants to do a split. They're going to be bringing in presence from a couple of different sides. There's that showstopper that we were talking about. It's not going to connect onto anyone, but it is going to buy him a little bit of time for the members of T1 to rotate over. And there it is. AZK is able to get one. Shanks trades it out as Brax follows, but Shanks with the third already. Spider's not going to hold on either, as it's just down to Daze.
One more.
Got overwhelmed.
One more.
Well, you might as well. Yeah, serve it up to him at this point. Shanks with the 4K. Oh, what a round from Immortals.
I like the attempt from T1, but Immortals, they just had to sit there and collect their payday, right? One at a time, and more T1 members funneled in through connector. It started off with AZK at least paranoying his way through, so Spider in hookah could just, you know, swing with the rest of the team, but he wasn't in a good position to do so. They might have found some success there, but we're also forgetting there was like 2 members on the B side already. Like, they were already planning the spike. They were chilling. They were living. Oh, no, they weren't, because the spike was in B short. But nevertheless, they were coming in from behind regardless. So T1, heavy presence towards the shower side. We've seen Immortals actually look a lot towards that shower side. So the fact that there's 3 members here on the eco, they really want to try to control it or deny it from Immortals. And we'll see what the retake looks like if they stay here and Immortals end up funneling through A short.
They're certainly getting info that way, which would lead us to think that that's where they're going to want to go. You see the Lear has been used. JMO goes up with the operator. JC Stanny gets one as well. They've made their way onto the site. Members of T1 are around showers, waiting to see where that lurk is going to be coming from Neptune. They have an idea that he's there, but right now they're in a position to where they can make something happen, assuming Neptune does not play spoiler.
It's going to be a tough round regardless. Oh, now they finally hear the lurk. Now they finally hear, but Skadoodle's still going to somehow swing the opposite way. Oh, he's going to find a second. That's an upgrade. Now things are a little bit more doable. Reloads the clip. Definitely just wants to make this expensive. Shock darts come through. There's a player up above, sees him, tries to spray him down, but he drops. JMO, now it's all down to Skadoodle. Oh, that's a little unfortunate. Tries to hide in the smoke to avoid the recon bolt. But Immortals clean that one up. Still a little expensive. Just a little bit. Now this is the gun round for T1. Operator coming out for JMO once again, as he was using it last round. And Skadoodle, will see if he buys down to it. He only has 5,500. He can afford light armor with it as well, or he might just play a little bit more conservative with it. Yep, there it is. He's going to buy utility instead of the armor and post up towards that B site. So we'll see if he has any success with it, as JMO looking towards that shower side with the op.
Early camera, and there's that smoke counter that we've talked about earlier. Very common early movements from both squads there. You try to get camera to try to get information of showers, but that smoke from Omen comes up to essentially counter that, nullify any sort of information that might have been gained there. So early on, it's a fight for information, a battle for trying to understand what the other team is going to be doing. Shanks was able to get a good bit of real estate as he worked his way up. Didn't see anyone home. And it looks like, once again, they're going to be pushing their way up through short.
I think this has to be the time that Skadoodle may look to try to rotate back over, because now the execute starts to come through. There's a paranoia from AZK, but it doesn't catch anybody in terms of picks. JC Stanley will take out Skadoodle as he tries to lurk in through the portal. That lurk is going to get shut down, and they're just going to take them off one at a time. The paranoia will help out with that. Wow. Shanks will help out as well, and it's not looking good here for T1.
Yeah, and Dazed uses the Hunter's Fury, but at this point, it might be a bit too late, right? Like, Immortal still has the numbers advantage. Yeah, you just see him start to back up. Spider might be able to play for an exit here if Immortals goes aggressively and tries to find, Spider or Dazed. But other than that, you just kind of question the use of that, especially for such an important ultimate. Yeah, Spider is going to dash his way across. Looks like he might get a chance at one, but he is getting him pushed in pretty aggressively. Gets one. Drop switch to the classic, gets a second one as well. Shanks was so weak there. You could kind of look at him funny and he'd go down, but Spider delivers.
Nice. Takes down the economy a little bit. Immortals still sitting quite pretty. I think I saw a member there was 6,700. Now, of course, it's going to buy down. Gangsta was sitting at 9,000. Yeah, Immortals are feeling really good about this half. If T1 managed to string a couple of rounds together, it's going to take some time to really take down that economy, because T1 are really just trying to make ends meet. They're once again in a tough spot. They've got to force up because the whole team is doing so. Likely going to have a little bit less for light armor. Brax and Skadoodle. Brax with the frenzy, Skadoodle with the frenzy. Yeah, this is just a tough spot to be in if you're T1, because Immortals, they're inching close. Inching ever so close to catching up.
Yeah, that room for error continues to shrink, right? There aren't a ton of more throwaway rounds, really, if you want to call them that. There's just not much room for them to make any mistakes here. Immortals, on the other hand, as you highlighted, with the financial situation that they're in, can afford to bleed a little bit, around maybe 2, but then again, T1 is so close to putting this thing away. It's difficult. Nonetheless, they should have a little bit more room to work with. You see Shanks works his way into Hookah, gets severely punished for it, all the way down to 30 health, and no armor to work with. Good start from T1 early on.
Yeah, the smoke as well to stop any more members pushing in towards that Hookah side. And look at Spider. He's gained so much ground, and it's a good read on the round itself. They understand that there might have been some heavier presence towards the short side, seeing Shanks there, of all things. And now this gives Spider so much more room to work with. We'll see what he ends up doing. Maybe he just needs to hold this angle, because Immortals tend to love that split call where they run in through both sides, but they're going to work their way back towards the B site where Brax has been playing in a very aggressive position.
He has nothing but a frenzy. I think this is going to be a tough swing, but he does it anyway. JMO trades it out, but he was able to take care of Shanks. Dazed and Skadoodle are still managing to keep this thing competitive and have the personnel advantage. 13 seconds left in the round. Gangsta gets dropped as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not going as we would have expected. A 3K for Skadoodle as they pull Immortals apart.
T1 just had phenomenal positioning there. Spider able to lurk all the way around. I think if Immortals hit the A site, they would have had a little bit more success, but they were still committed to that B site hit. They gathered some information early. They have seen a little bit more passive play, considering T1 have been trying to control the showers the majority of the time. So they're taking the gamble to say, okay, at least 2 or 3 members on the A site. If we hit the B site, we'll be sitting pretty. But the fact that Dazed manages to chip Shanks early dissuades them from doing so. But they're like, you know what, let's just do it anyway. And then through the portal comes the rest of the portal from T1 to understand that it's going to be a heavier push towards the B site, and the fact that Brax was able to see 2 and then find the trade. T1 were just in a great position and played that round very well.
They really were. And we saw Spider on the flank as he pushed all his way through showers, and AZK had paranoia through a short where there were 2 members of Immortal standing. So that could have even been worse. Folks, it looks like we're in a bit of a pause. We'll get you some info. It looks like the pause is over. That was perfect. Timing here, T1 getting closer and closer to winning this series 2-1. But Immortals have been able to find a lot of success here on the attacking side.
That they have. That they have. T1, a little bit of a different position this time, giving up some of that showers control. And honestly, this hold in lamps, Immortals have been able to deal with it every single time. A fat paranoia from JC Stanny, and then there's the aggressive push in. There's a counter paranoia from AZK. But look at that angle from JMO. So now that the execute starts to come through, that shot's missed by JMO, and he still will end up finding it. Gangsta from the side will find the shock dart, and now it's all falling apart for T1.
All falling apart indeed. Skadoodle had managed to work his way all the way around back behind Showers, but Gangsta was able to take care of him. Just one left on the side of T1. That's Spider in a 1v5. Maybe is going to be able to get a pick. He's certainly going to get a chance here at Shanks, as Shanks is hunting. But no, Shanks is going to win that. A flawless round for Immortals. That was big for them to be able to continue to pad up those credits and take an advantage into the latter stages of this map as we get closer and closer to potential overtime. For them to keep it that way, every credit counts.
You know, for T1, that A-side hold is rough. And they've tried different looks. They've tried Showers presence. They've tried, you know, Heaven presence with the op. They've tried so many different things. And Immortals just always run the same. Okay, paranoia into lamps, push up through lamps, work their way up, play close gunfights, work up through Showers, work as a team. And they find so much success with it. That's why you're seeing T1 often flip-flop back and forth between Showers presence and lack of Showers presence, because they have no idea what Immortals are going to run. They're just trying to read the scenario. And unfortunately, last round's read did not pan out for them. So Immortals, once again, look at this late round Showers presence. It's like, yeah, we're going to debate you once again. We're going to make you think that you think you know what you think you know, and then we're going to change it up.
A whole lot of thinking there and not a whole lot of knowing. On the side of T1, depending on how things plan out, Immortals was able to go in. I believe they got that ult orb in there, and Spider could do nothing more than just listen. Hanging out towards A, has made its way, has moseyed over towards B. You see JC Sammy preparing to use a paranoia that will presumably clear out Hookah and allow Shanks to work his way in. There's a paranoia that we were talking about. The Leer was used in conjunction with that to create some space and give him an advantage, but nobody was there. Now you see some of the smokes coming out towards the defending spawn. Once again, just creating more space, more room, but Brax might be in some trouble here. He's already down to 36 health. A good camera there to get some info, but I don't know that he's going to have much of a chance. No, he's not. T1 has already dropped 2 members, as it looks like Immortals have gotten onto the site, and yeah, they are going to get that spike down. AZK creeping his way around, gonna get a chance onto JMO, and he is able to best him a 3v3.
He needed that kill as well. Now the paranoia is set up. They're able to push in. They got to push in aggressively, and guess who's there to do it? Spider and Skadoodle. Now they start to come through. The knives are out. It's all down to Gangsta. The 1v1. Make it a 1v none. Immortals, they trail by 1.
All right, this one continues to deliver, folks, and you talked about it. Spider getting in was great. Skadoodle there was great too, but it was Gangsta who was just able to hit Skadoodle from the side where he wasn't expecting it and then swing down to that 1v1. Neutralizing the Blade Storm in that situation was the most important thing that they could have done. And it was exactly what happened. It was exactly what they needed. 1 round lead for T1 here. 3 ultimates available on the side of Immortals. A bit more shower presence, like you've discussed, Simo, and it's not just some intel, or excuse me, it's not just some bodies. There was some intel that was gathered as well, as you saw Roomba use down showers.
Immortals looking for late round showers presence. Dazed. I thought he got tagged, but this is an eco for T1. As we see some of the weapons in hand. That's a tailwind that pushes up B long. I'm not sure what they were hoping to accomplish with that. Shock dart to try to answer back for that control of the ult orb. That's 2 picks down. Another day at the office for Immortals, and this B site is going to be wide open. It's a little bit of a strange tailwind, but nevertheless, Immortals take apart T1 one at a time. Skadoodle and AZK will be the last one standing and don't really have the ideal hardware to deal with the rest of the Immortals.
Yeah, and there's not even a Blade Storm in the conversation to maybe add a wrinkle to the plans of T1. So this round, we presume, is going to go in favor of Immortals, and we're going to be knotted up at 11 apiece as soon as we can to think about how that's going to pan out. Excuse me. I do think a couple of things to note on the side of T1 for the next round. They've got the Showstopper and they have the Neural Theft. So it's not like they're walking into it without any ultimates to combat what Immortals is going to be bringing into things.
But it's going to be 11-11. It's going to be 11-11. And we might see another overtime. I don't know if my heart can handle it. That'll be a very scary sight. AZK looking for some late round. Oh, he's gonna find one. Almost finds two. One is better than none, and he only had a sheriff to work with anyway. So we have to pay close attention to how T1 are setting up the defense, because Immortals have, for the majority of this half, 7 rounds in total, have managed to break through the defense. So lack of Showers presence from T1, opting in for heavier control of the B side, heavier control of Hookah, which Immortals tend to set up from time to time. But still, Immortals, 2 members, the same 2 members every round. Neptune and Gangsta looking into Showers. Guess what? No one's there. The standard smoke goes down, but will that thwart them? It will not. Neptune gets in a huge position, but backs away slowly.
Meanwhile, excuse me. Meanwhile, keep an eye on JMO. He does have an operator here in this thing, peeking early on to see if anyone was going to show towards B long. Nobody was there, but it looks like the play is going to be towards A. As you mentioned, this has just been so successful. If it's not broken, why fix it, or try to anyway? Smokes are going to come out early on. JMO and the rest of Immortals work their way in. Shanks is able to get one as AZK is sitting on the sidelines for the rest of the round, as is Brax. Immortals have established control. They've established presence, and they're on to A.
A tough read for T1. The one round they give up the Showers control is the one round. Like, Immortals have been doing it every single round. If no one's there, okay, push A. If someone's there, okay, push B. Like, how do you stop Immortals from making that type of guesswork? How do you stop them from doing that on the side of T1? You have to show face in Showers. You have to. Every single round, to leave Immortals guessing where the rest of the team are, because if you give up that control, they know they have the ground to cover on the A side, and boy, does Shanks have ground. Oh, yep, there's Spider. Is he going to get caught in the web? Nope, he backs away. 59 HP. Skadoodle with another as they're trying to hunt them down. They want these weapons out of the hands of T1, but they're losing their lives in the process. Spider, can he find another? Yes, he can.
With one bullet.
Skadoodle's also holding down the line. They make it very expensive for the Immortals. But look at that. JC Sandy has 9,000. He could buy it for every single member if he wanted to.
Guys, 8 of the last 9 rounds in favor of Immortals. This has been such an impressive performance on this half for them. And again, it's Shanks, 20 and 18 at the top of the leaderboard. For T1, they're facing a loss here. They're facing dropping down and having to play Dig. Certainly not what they want to do here. And the thing is, as you mentioned, they just haven't been able to get anything going on the defensive side. Immortals has been able to pull them apart, back and forth, and then just do what they want with them. We'll see just what T1 can do. They're searching for answers, really just as much as I am at this point, as nothing has worked.
All right, guess what? Neptune. Okay. Showers, look inside. Okay, who's there? Tell me the answer, Doug. Who's there? Who's in Showers?
Nobody.
Okay, so that means push A. All right, so we're going to do it again. Paranoia and Smokes. Well, Smokes starting to go down first. JMO getting in the same exact spot that he gets every round on this A-side push. That's the showstopper down. It's another pick, unfortunately, down for T1. Oh, guess what? The player stopping the Showers pushes down, but AZK finds 2. That's a little different, but Shanks will come in from the side. It's a 2v3, make it a 2v2. Oh, no, Skadoodle. It's all down to Dazed. He's chasing down Neptune. It's a 1v2, but right now it's a 1v1. He's going to find him. One more player remaining. Oh, my goodness, Dazed. Are you kidding me? 1 HP in a dream, and T1 are still in it.
Overtime.
Oh my gosh. Let's look at that one more time. That was absolutely insane. AZK getting those 2 kills there and keeping the defenses in U-Haul was absolutely enormous, and it bought time for Skadoodle to wrap his way around. He got in on the action as well. And then, folks, you know how this ends. It was Daze who was given an opportunity to rise to the occasion and does just that. Almost drops it, as he said, only had 1 health left to work with. You talked earlier on about how this might go to overtime and how your might not be able to handle it. Simo, hang on. We're far from over on this map.
All right, let's cook things up. Immortals now on the defense. Once again, we've seen their showers control time and time again, but guess who's the injured little JMO? It's him, because he doesn't have any armor. The shock dart finds him, and he's down to 22 with the op. So T1's work on working up this A site angle works out quite well, because now this B site, which has been relatively passively held by Immortals, it's going to be easy to take. Unfortunately for Skadoodle, the tailwind sends him up and over, but they'll still get that spike down momentarily.
Members of Immortals are starting to rotate over. Nobody's going to be coming in through telly, so keep a close eye on AZK. He's there for the anchor just in case, but the smokes are going to be coming through. This looks exactly like what we saw at the beginning of the map, as all the defenses of Immortals are going to be coming in from one side, but they're just down to 2 members left. Skadoodle trying to hold things off as JC Stanny drops an impressive round from T1 as they take the lead in overtime.
Switching sides. Match point.
I would love to see and double back and see what that shock dart kill actually was. Because I think it really thwarted the push a little bit, because they were playing great angles from the side of T1. They had great trade angles, right? If one person fell, another person was ready to swing, and they were willing to do that trade over and over and over again, especially because in the initial push from Immortals, it was a 2-for-1 in favor of T1. So they were willing to trade the rest of the round away, and they played angles well in that respect. But now it's T1 on the defense. We've seen how difficult this has been for them. And are you going to play retake on that A site? I think you might.
You saw the dart, the recon dart used early in showers to see that nobody was home. And of course, they're going to push their way in. And here we go again, folks. Rinse and repeat. Immortals looking to establish some presence around A short. The paranoia here was far more effective, as was able to tag up a couple, but it was responded with one of Immortals' own. Shanks somehow gets his way onto the site. Not a single person is dropped. As I say that, of course, Daze and Neptune both go down. Keep a close eye on Skadoodle, folks. He's made his way through the teleporter. You see, there is one player over there watching things that's going to be gangsta, but I don't know if he knows.
Here.
You might have heard it. 3 members in lamps, and they're all huddled up together, warmed by the fire. Smoke is about to subside. 24 seconds remaining on the clock. Skadoodle going to find one. It's planted for lamps, and you're seeing those members respond accordingly. Oh, Skadoodle traded 2v2. Make that a 1v2. It's all down to JC Stanny, and guess who's playing the weird angle? It's Spider. They're not sure where he's coming from. Oh, Spider! JC Stanny! 18 HP takes him down. What a close round for T1. They finally adapt to that A site hit that has been plaguing them over the course of the second half. But JC Stanny swings in the balance, and we're once again reset on overtime.
Unreal. To continue to go down to the wire like this again and again, folks. This is, other than map 1, this has been absolutely insane, right? They had the 2v1, T1 did. They had the round lead in overtime. They had what they needed to put this thing away, but unfortunately weren't able to do so. Neptune is going to get pushed off of showers early on as that dart comes through. And it looks like T1 is taking a page out of Immortals' book, and they're going to work their way, mosey up in towards showers. Daze with the shock dart, see if anyone's there. Nobody at all, but certainly they've heard that. You see Daze has gotten the ult orb 2 points away from the Hunter's Fury. Definitely something to keep an eye on here in overtime.
We know this B site hit to be super effective for T1. The spike is in the middle. They're waiting for information first. Owl drone comes through. Ooh, will it spot Neptune? It does not. Oh. But manages to take it down, backs away. But so has T1. Shanks has to be the gatekeeper here. Brack's going to swing and take Shanks down. Now the rotates have to come through. because you're down in a 4v5. Can Gangsta hold the line here as the B execute is developing? We do know that this time it's not going to be the retake. They can hold down the line if played effectively.
Keep an eye on Daze on the mini-map. Yeah, that's a huge kill. There's not going to be any flank coming in from Telly. They're just going to have to come in from one side. Immortals is able to get 2, but T1 respond with 2 of their own. JMO with the operator is able to get 1. The spike has been planted. He's hunting, he's searching, but up from the heavens come down the fire. AZK takes him out. T1 take a 1-round lead in overtime.
Match point.
Yeah, I have a feeling that if this gets reset, Immortals are going to adapt and have a heavier presence towards the B site. We'll have to see if, of course, that does end up happening. Because even on that first half, that's the half that T1 worked exceptionally well on those B site hits. And so you're seeing that again. But for Immortals, now that they're on the attack, what site are they exceptionally known to hit incredibly well over the course of that second half, Doug? Just it's a 50% chance you can get this right. Which site is it?
It's true. It is A.
And that's where they're prepared to go once again. But Brax, little showers presence, never hurt anybody. But once again, a little bit more passive play, I think, is going to be the ends again.
Gangsta trying to get some info. Oh my gosh. This one's just been a banger the entire time. You see the paranoia once again. It's going to be coming in through A short. Neptune is able to get the first kill as they establish themselves on the site. The spike is going to go down. JMO with that operator who's invested in time and time again. No armor, but you guess you don't need armor when you've got that going on. Shanks is able to get through U-Haul. He's able to get all of that space and all of that presence. And folks, things are not looking good for T1, but again, they've done things like this before. They've got deep heroics in their bag. Oh yeah, that's certainly gonna help. JC Stanley drops, Skadoodle goes in, taps, playing around the smokes as he tries to stay alive, but JMO's got a chance, but no! Freaking T1 does it! They finally, through all of that, are able to put Immortals away. It was never a sure thing, but in overtime, they take care of business and they advance.
I like how Skadoodle played that. I really, really do. He threw all the smokes down. You normally see that when they're just trying to defuse early. And you saw the response from JMO. He wanted to push in, get up close and personal. Unfortunately, that costs him as Skadoodle was ready with the swing out from his own smoke. So very well done for T1 to close that one out. It was close. Let's bring back Reflections because another nail-biter map that went to overtime, but this time a little bit more succinct from T1 as they're able to close things out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, check it out. You guys got a fantastic series, a lot of ups and downs, without question. I just want to highlight, by the way, with all the things that Immortals went through to still keep it as close as they did, shout out to Shanks, right, for coming in and going as hard as he did. He was absolutely pivotal in keeping those series close. So, Immortal fans, hey, it's okay. You guys do lose, but you're still in it. An opportunity to make playoffs is there. Of course, you will have to play in loser bracket to go against Dignitas, which isn't going to be easy, but again, the chance and the opportunity is still there, and you know you're in good hands with Shank. So let's get into it, boys, because that was, like you said, a nail biter. So first and foremost, Doug, I'm going to go to you because you hyped up Spider from T1, right? Playing as a Sentinel, comes in as Raze instead of Omen. Did that make an impact, and was the impact great?
I definitely think he made an impact. I don't remember exactly how many kills he came across, but there were a couple of plays that I can vividly remember where he just kind of single-handedly was able to grab a couple of multi-kills. I think Spider, again, the more I see Spider on a duelist, the more, thank you, the more I want to see them explore that possibility. This is exactly the play that I was thinking of, using the paint cans and then swinging. And then again, I know it was an eco, but you've got 2 guys shooting at you, man. That's never easy.
I mean, he was just shy of getting the A's too, right? Picking up 4 there. But a lot to take away from Immortals as well. Simo, I mean, given the fact that Immortals kept it so close, JC Stanley, by the way, sends it to second overtime, picks up that 1v2. Beautiful plays from him, but just shy. You know, it's so hard to take away from a team that, I mean, loses in double overtime. But I guess what was the straw that kind of broke the camel's back? Was it Skadoodle?
I mean, I feel like it's always Skadoodle. You know, he's always that. In both overtimes, he was the factor that clutched out the overtime round and put T1 in the position that they're in right now, which is sitting pretty. They've qualified for the playoffs. and they need one more best of 3 to move on to the main event. They're one away. They're one away. But I think really for Immortals, you have to be super proud as a team that regardless of the substitution with Shanks, by the way, still a great player despite not making it onto the final Dignitas roster with his brother Poised. But I think for Immortals, you have to be so proud that your entire team can still claw their way in and keep it so competitive against one of the best teams in North America.
I mean, without question, I like I said, I'm so impressed with the Immortals. Even though they take the L, like they still get a W tonight, regardless of all things. And there's a lot of questions, you know, if those things don't happen, right? If do they win? There's a very real chance they do, but it is what it is. T1, like you said, does move on, and good for them. You know, they are a powerful team. They really are. They're a much hyped up team, and they played that series very well. They earned it without question. Okay, because Immortals did not make it easy. Doug, though, it seems like the core 3 really made it happen for this T1 roster. It was Daze, Skadoodle, and AZK. They seemed like they were just leading the charge when it came to kills. You know, what made them so special as a trio?
I just think they've done this time and time again, right? Like the more we watch T1, the more we see them do things like that. And it just seems like whenever the spotlight is on them, whenever the opportunity is there for them to shock the world, they do it. They deliver. And like, here's the thing, when we think about T1 from a larger perspective, right? It's not always going to be a flashy, easy, like stomp of a win, right? For a lot of these teams, it's far more beneficial and far more developmental for them in the long run to go through trenches, like we just saw with Immortals, and to walk away from that, with some cuts, some scars, some bruises, but walk away victorious. For them to go through what they just went through, think about the whole storyline, folks. Immortals has to get a sub. Oh no, T1's just going to roll over him. We don't know how Shanks is going to play. Is he cold? What about the strategies? Like, T1 took a sucker punch to the chin for the last 2-3 hours or however long this was, and they stood there, right? They took it and they traded back. And again, when I think about long-term trajectory and what this means for the team as a whole, that's the implications of that are far bigger, far deeper reaching than just defeating Immortals 2-1.
That is very well said. Very well said indeed. Again, we will see. Also, NRG does in fact lose to FaZe, or they might be still in that technical pause. I think they did lose 2-0. They lost 2-0. Yeah. So really tough for NRG, but FaZe will move on. After all, though, guys, I know you guys are going to hop off, but we will be, or at least I will be joined by Vansili and Bach just a little bit, but we'll have you back later on. But check it out, guys. We are going to go to a break. When we come back, though, some more action as we are going to have the much hyped up Cloud9 Blue versus Space Station Gaming.